Hello everyone, and today I'm going to be going over the top 10 underrated cars in GTA Online in 2023. And I do want to make this clear that this list is not in any particular order, so please keep that in mind. And around the end of the video, I will have a few honorable mentions, so make sure to keep watching for that. And also please do remember to subscribe, because I upload at least once every 2 to 3 days, so please subscribe. Anyways, I've probably wasted enough of your time, let's get into the video. Starting off with the number 10 slot, we have the Ocelot F620. Now at first glance, this car may not look too appealing, but the reason why it's on this list is because this is the fastest car that you can steal off the street that you are able to store in your garage. So for example, you guys may know the Pegassi and Furnace. Sure, that's a faster car, but you can actually store that in your garage. Again, you cannot store that in your garage, but this car you can store in your garage, and it's the fastest car that you can steal off the street that you can store in your garage. And this car actually does not look too bad either. It's based off of some sort of Maserati by the looks of it. And if for some reason, if you wanted to buy it, it would cost you $80,000, which is still, I would say, kind of worth it. But if I were you, I would still steal it off the street because it is free. But this is definitely one of the underrated cars in GTA Online in 2023. But now it is time to move on to the number 9 slot. In the number 9 slot, we have the Shafter V12. So the Shafter V12 will cost you $116,000 if you did want to purchase this car, and I definitely think it is worth purchasing this car because this car has a higher top speed than the OG Adder, which the Adder is a supercar based off of a Bugatti Veyron. This is based off of probably like a Mercedes C43 AMG or something. This costs you $116,000 and it has a higher top speed than the Adder. This thing is so fast, that is its main strength, is how fast the straight line speed is. But when it comes to turning and all that stuff, you gotta be careful because you could tend to spin out sometimes, so make sure to be careful with this thing on corners. This car also has some pretty decent customization, so that also makes it more worth the $116,000, I guess. And this is one car that I absolutely recommend for beginners in GTA Online because this thing is just so fast, really cheap. It's got 4 doors if you're doing those OG heists and all that stuff. This is just such a useful car. And the last thing I want to mention about the Shafter V12 is how good it sounds. I'll play it what it sounds like right now. And actually, there is one last thing. One last thing I want to mention about the Shafter V12, which there is actually an armored variant of this car, which doesn't make any stronger, it just makes the windows slightly bulletproof, but it's nothing much. And the armored variant will, of course, cost you around like $300,000 or somewhere around there. Anyways, the Shafter V12 is such a good beginner car, something I definitely recommend you buy. That's it for the number 9 slot. Let's move on to number 8. In the number 8 slot, we have the Grotti Carbonizer. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And straight off the bat, this car just looks so good. It will cost you $195,000 and you get a pretty good performing car. It's also a convertible. It looks really good. It sounds really good. It's quick. It's everything that you would need in a sports car. And there is a little bit of customization for this car, so you can kind of change it to how you want it to look, which is good as well, I guess. And again, this car looks so good, it sounds good, it's a great sports car. Now you may find this driving around the streets, you'll probably see NPCs driving it, but you can unfortunately not steal the car, you cannot store it in your garage, you would have to purchase it for $195,000, which I would say is one of the best cars you can buy for under $200,000 in GTA Online. Absolutely recommend if you're looking for a car under $200,000 or right around that mark, the Carbonizer is definitely one you should look into buying. Anyways, the Carbonizer is definitely one of the most underrated cars in GTA Online. Anyways, that's it for the number 8 slot. Let's move on to number 7. In the number 7 slot, we have the Dubachi Massacro. Now, the Massacro is on this list primarily because, first of all, it's just a good car. It's just a good car, and I never ever see anyone driving it. I've never seen anyone drive this car in GTA Online. It costs you around $285,000, I believe that's what it is. And you get a quick car, it's fast, it sounds good. And there actually is some customization for this car as well. And the Masacro is definitely worth its price tag. It's fast and all that. It's just worth its price, trust me. But yeah, that's it for the Masacro. Let's move on to the number 6 slot. In the number 6 slot, we have the Penumbra. Now, the main reason why the Penumbra is on this list is because of its customization and looks, and the fact that you can also steal this car off the street for completely free. But I do want to mention this car isn't really that fast at all. It's not a fast car. But this car does have some pretty good customization and actually has some livery options, believe it or not. You can make this car look like pretty JDM, whatever. You can definitely make it look like some sort of JDM car, which I'm pretty sure some of you people out there will like that. And this car does look pretty good though, and I want to mention again, this car is not really that fast at all. It's just about all of its customization and how it looks and all that stuff. It's just a good car. But yeah, if you're looking for a car with good customization, but you're not really going to race it or anything like that, then this is probably one car that you should look into buying, especially because it's also free, so you don't really need to buy it anyways. Anyways, that is it for number 6. The Penumbra is an underrated car. Let's move on to the number 5 slot. In the number 5 slot, we have the Karen Sultan. Now, this might surprise you, but this is the regular Sultan, not the Sultan Classic, not the Sultan RS. This is the regular Sultan that you can steal off the streets, or if you want, purchase for $12,000. Now, I would say this car is okay for its speed. It's not slow, it's not really that fast, it's just good. Maybe a little quick for what it is, for especially being free. So you can see we're going around like a solid 100 right here, which is pretty good for a car that costs $12,000. But this is all upgraded, so it may cost you a little more. Now, as you can see, this car does have some customization, and I think this looks pretty good for a $12,000 car. Now, as you can probably tell, I tried to base it off of a Subaru WRX or a STI or something like that, and I think I did a pretty good job at that actually. And I haven't seen any other person drive a Sultan really ever around unless they like stole it or something. But this car, I think it's a pretty underrated car. It's definitely worth stealing off the street. But yeah, that's it for the Sultan at number 5. Let's move on to number 4. In the number 4 slot, we have the Pegassi Zorusso. And this is a car that some of you guys probably were not expecting to be on this list. And I agree with you because it's that underrated. Nobody really knows about it. And if you do know this car, yeah, sure, it's still pretty expensive. But it kind of makes sense because it's a supercar. And I believe this is around the top 15 fastest supercars in GTA Online. Now this car looks really good. It has excellent customization. It's really fast. And for some reason, people still don't drive this car or use this car. In my life, I've only seen one other person ever use this car. I think this is honestly just a really underrated car in GTA Online. I don't know why people don't use this car. It's so good. But that is it for the Zorusso in the number 4 slot. Let's move on to the number 3 slot. Now in the number 3 slot, we have the Obey Tailgater. This is just a normal tailgater. I do not own one of these cars. I know I have lots of money in the game, but I'm just too lazy. Anyways, this car has tons of customization. It's really, really just good in terms of customization. It's really quick as well, and it's surprisingly good for its price tag at only $55,000. And if you didn't know, this is Michael's car in the story mode of GTA 5. But I would say this car is straight up worth its price tag, 100%. If you're a new player and you're looking for a car to buy, I mean, the Obey Tailgater is definitely one you should look into as well. And again, I'm going to mention how it's lots of customization, and it's actually pretty surprising how much customization this car has. You honestly should really check it out. But yeah, I've never, ever seen anyone drive this car in GTA Online ever before. So this car is absolutely underrated. I think if you want, you could go ahead and try out the car and see how you like it. Anyways, that's going to be it for the Obey Tailgater. Let's move on to the number 2 slot. In the number 2 slot, we have the Benefactor Feltzer. And I know what you're thinking already. Why don't you have one of these? You have quite a bit of money. Well, again, I'm too lazy and I just don't want to buy it because I don't feel like it. Anyways, the Benefactor Feltzer is, in my opinion, probably one of the most underrated cars. For especially people that kind of like, I don't know, wide body cars. This car has a little subtle wide body kind of on it. doesn't really have much customization. You will see NPCs driving this around the street, but unfortunately you cannot steal it, you cannot store it in your garage. You will have to buy it for $145,000. It is decently quick and all that stuff. It's just a straight up underrated car. Nobody uses it. It looks good. I honestly just think people should buy this car. I think this car deserves more attention for what it is, especially for it being an OG vehicle. This probably in 2013 would have been a pretty good car. And believe it or not, I believe the Benefactor Feltzer, and before, if you remember when I was talking about the Penumbra, there's a few cars, I think it's around 5 cars, that have an exclusive interior in the game, and the Feltzer and the Penumbra are 2 of those cars. So this car is, I guess, a little, I don't know, special, I guess, because it has kind of like a pretty exclusive interior almost, like around 5 cars have it. But yeah, the Feltzer is just an underrated car. So if you want to buy it, if you're a new player, this is a good, really good price for this car. Anyways, that's it for number 2. Let's move on to number 1. Actually, before we move into the number 1 slot, I do want to go over the honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is the Chameleon. This car is fully electric if you didn't know. Our second honorable mention is the Coil Voltic. This car is also fully electric as well. Our third honorable mention is the Pegassi Vaca. Our fourth honorable mention is the Karen Intruder. And our last honorable mention is the Ubermott Oracle. This car is actually surprisingly quick, believe it or not. Anyways, it is now time to move to the last vehicle on this list. And the last vehicle on this list is the Ocelot Jackal. And again, this list is not in any particular order, I just want to remind you of that. Anyways, this car is surprisingly quick as well. Like the Oracle and all that, this car is actually pretty quick for what it is. You can steal this off the street for free, which I definitely recommend you do as a beginner, but if you can't find one or you just want to buy it, then it's 60 grand. It's not that much, but for a new player, 60 grand could be a lot, but whatever. This car, again, it's quick. It's super quick for what it is. The handling is actually really surprising for what it is. But it doesn't really look like anything special, but you actually have to drive it and all that, then you'll kind of realize, like, hey, what, this is off the street, right? Except it's just really fast, it's got good handling for what it is. You should get it for free off the street if you see one, just get it anyways. But yeah, the Ocelot Jackal is definitely an underrated car in GT Online. I've never, ever seen someone drive this car, and this car is underrated. Anyways, I hope you guys did like my top 10 list, and I hope you did enjoy watching the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.